Laura A. Grace here, the author of Dear Author, Letters from Bookish Fangirl, and Team Lines of Poetry Collection, and Gathering Faith in Upcoming Manga. Oh my goodness, friends. Oh, I read the longest manga I have read to date. I realized 2 years ago, back in 2018, is when I started actively reading manga. My first legit manga series, read it all the way through, was Library Wars, and that was back in 2018, and that manga, was 15 volumes, and today's manga is actually 30 volumes, so double of what I have ever read manga-wise. I also read, to date so far, I read at least 7 volumes of manga in one day. That is the most manga I have ever read in one day. I could not get enough of this series whatsoever. I don't even know where to start with today, but I guess before I officially get in, I want to say what manga that is. And oh my goodness, that said manga is. First, let's see if I can get it all in this picture, because it is Kimi ni Todoke. Oh goodness. I can't show all the volumes, but I have all 30 volumes here with me, in front of me, the whole big stack of manga, and the whole giant stack just fell. Alright, sorry, had to clean up the giant manga stack that just happened to knock over my camera. So, sorry about that. What was I saying? That I don't know where to start with this manga series. I started it, I don't know exactly when I started, but I think I binge read pretty much all of the volumes within 2.5 weeks. I had a deadline that I had to return it by to my library by a certain date. I met the date with quite a few days to spare, which was really exciting because I'm not ready to return this manga just yet. It has made me so deeply reflective just of everything. You start out in volume 1 with them. I think they're 15. They are so awkward and just, goodness, I have never blushed when reading a book, manga or novel, blushed just at the innocence and the sweetness of the whole situation. Yes, I've blushed if there has been an almost potentially steamy scene, which is something I usually don't read, but to blush when there's just awkwardness and cuteness was just a first for me. And I'm thankful that it was with this manga. I am genuinely very excited and thankful to have read it. It was very long, but there was something very satisfying and just so incredibly moving seeing Sawako from the beginning and Kazehaya, seeing them both how they were in volume 1 to watching them grow and mature in their relationship and friendships and schooling all the way to volume 30, which really wrecked me in a good way. I cried, I think, almost that whole volume. I especially know there were 2 chapters that were really, really moving. It was a really amazing way, just all the way to seeing just the depth of their relationship and how far they have come. Oh, it makes me just emotional thinking about it. Yesterday, like I mentioned, after I read volume 30, I went back and read some of the chapters over again, and I think when I finally got to the end the first time, I just sobbed. It is the perfect coming of age kind of story. I just can't imagine if I was a young person reading this series as it released, growing up with these characters, how life-changing that is. These characters are just incredible, and Sawako and Kazehaya are incredible role models. I am just blown away how respectful Kazehaya is of Sawako. Not only how loving he is and how caring and how he really just embraced her awkward self in the beginning, and Sawako embracing his cool awkward self too, because he was definitely awkward at times and just embarrassment. That was just a huge part of their relationship or their friendship for the first 10 volumes. I guess with that, I am amazed at how this mangaka just I mean, she wrote a romance, a real high school romance that just jumps off the page. Thankfully, when I was in high school, like, I did not have this much drama. There is a lot of drama in the first 10 volumes, and there's a lot of angst for sure. And like I already said, there's definitely embarrassment, awkwardness, I wouldn't say clumsiness, but you have just all of that high school stuff woven into this series, and it just leaps off the page as being extremely relatable and extremely realistic in my opinion. Like I said, those first 10 volumes, I mean, they're in high school past the first 10 volumes, but the first 10 volumes basically, and must stop just for a second. I want to give a soft warning that since I am sharing all my thoughts about the entire series of this volume or this manga, I might have by accident or do by accident say very minor spoilers. Nothing big, nothing like huge, but there might be some minor spoilers. So I just want to give that heads up just in case if like people are like, I don't want any spoilers. I don't want any, because I can relate to that. As I was reading each volume, I was leaving a review on Goodreads, and sometimes if I was really anxious about what was about to happen, sometimes I would try and go read either the blurb before, like a few volumes before, like I was actually there. So if I'm on volume 6, sometimes I try and go read the blurb for volume 9. Don't do it because it just makes you feel worse and you're like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Or sometimes I would, after I would review the book, I would read some of the reviews of the upcoming volume to see what people were thinking and their thoughts on it. And even though I did not definitely agree with everybody's thoughts on certain volumes, I was really thankful that I was not the only one who cried reading this manga, and just that for many of the volumes that me and other people just resonated with just so much of this story, because like there were certain volumes, like I think once I got about halfway through, probably between, volumes 15 through 20 and up, I teared up in every single volume. There is, I agree with someone who said there is a little bit of a lull a little bit, and I don't even remember what volumes it is, but there's sort of part of the, okay, we're going to be graduating, and now we have to decide what we're going to do with our lives after high school. Not just like romantic wise and relationship wise, but like, what am I going to go do? Am I going to go to college? Am I not going to go to college? And if I go, what do I want to be? What do I want to do? What school do I want to go to? There is a little bit of a, like I said, like a lull between it. It wasn't boring. It definitely wasn't boring, but it does not have that same angst and that same, I need to read the next volume like immediately. And there are volumes like that. So I'm just going to say too, if you want to read this manga, do your best to have all of the volumes on hand. One of the best things that I did, I'm so glad, like I got it all from my library except for one volume, and that was volume 26. I bought this one, even though I was a little unsure if I would like this manga, but I really, really did. And I was really, really impressed with this volume. So, with that said, let's dive in to some of the characters and what I thought of them. Starting off with Sawako right here, our main heroine. I love Sawako. I love very, very much her bravery and her boldness and not afraid to just be who she is. And even when there was a scene where, she was trying to be someone who she wasn't. I'm not going to say more about that, but I love how she realized, like, she can just be her. I love how her friends encourage her just to be who she is. She has a fantastic story arc, and seeing her just nervous self from the beginning and just shining by the end is so beautiful, and it is just an incredible journey for her. And I'm just so glad I was able to be on it. Kazehaya, I loved him. There was only one time that I was really, really disappointed in him, because I was just like, why did you ask this question? Why did you ask Sawako what you did? Be confident in yourself, man. Anyway, that goes into spoilers. So, but he is so mindful and respectful of Sawako. He is so encouraging, and he is just a really awesome and fantastic hero. He just completes Sawako. He understands her, and even when they don't, he's willing to listen to her and support her. I was just really blown away by him too. I mean, just both of them together, but seeing especially as it gets closer to the end, he just shows so much growth. And I think the ending was so incredible because just how, like, trying to think of what to say without giving spoilers. I'm just going to keep it I think that just how he has been through all of this manga and then going to the end, I think it just made the ending really meaningful, and I was very, very impressed. I was impressed with both of them. You know, they were our main couple, I liked them a lot, which was good because they're our main couple. It'd be awkward if I didn't like them. However, there is another ship, and I will admit, from the first time we met this said ship, they weren't a ship at this time, but I loved this ship very much, and that is Chizu and Ryu. Their dynamics of their friendship and such is very different than Sawako and Kazahaya. It's very different than them, but it is, I don't know. I think because Ryu just reminds me of my husband a little bit in that he's very blunt, he's very straightforward, he doesn't lie, but he's also very honest and very caring, and Chizu sees a different side of him than anybody else does, and sees the kindness of his heart. Like, I mean, other people do that. Kaze Haya is his best friend. He definitely sees it too, but it's different since Chizu is a girl. I loved Chizu a lot. I loved just her boldness and how she can be very girly, but she's very sports-like, and how she can just be very emotional and upfront. She's awesome, and she loves ramen, and that was a really fun part of her story, that just her love for ramen. Like I said, I loved Ryu as well. I love how he's just a quiet, steady character. He's very reliable, and he's extremely dependable. And it's funny when he sometimes is not that always reliable person that we have seen through the manga. And I do not mean that in a bad way. If you read it, you know what I mean. Kento! I know I probably shouldn't say him next, but Kento, my man. Oh my goodness, let me even show you a picture of who Kento is. This is Kento. And when I first saw him on this manga, I'm pretty sure this is the first time when we first see him. My volumes are all over the place, but I did not like Kento at all. I was really like, you need to get out the way. You're interfering with my ship, and we just don't do that. Get out the picture kind of thing. Kento he is a bean, guys. I don't usually say like characters like a bean or sweet bean, however. This character is. I loved Kento. Like, I just was shocked how much he is not who he looks like he is on this cover at all. He is different than I expected. He is more awesome than I expected, and I'm thankful that he had a happy ending. I'm thankful for all that he has done in Sawako's life, and even when he caused problems at times, I really, really love his heart. He was so needed in this manga. He was an added, extra, super cool bonus to these characters' lives, and I hope that you like Kento. He is such a good character. I could just read like a spinoff of him having like a super happy ending because he deserves all of the happy things. The other character that I should have mentioned because she's Chizu and Sawako's best friend is Yano. Man, what do I even say? I think out of all the characters who had the most powerful story arc, I think it was Yano. I really, really do. Her backstory was completely different than I expected. Her growth was incredible. Like, I think I've probably used that word numerous times already, but I think her growth, like her arc and everything, was extremely exceptional. From how she is in the beginning and you see her in different situations to the very end was the best. It was amazing there, because there were definitely times. I mean, Yano's sort of considered to be the more mature one. She's definitely more experienced in the romance department, and she's not always afraid to say things to some of the other characters about things that involve romance, especially when it comes to being physical. And though I wouldn't say necessarily they're always inappropriate or anything like that, I think it's a high school setting, and people do sometimes say the things she did. But anyway, moving on. So I wasn't always fond of things that she says, but just the way she grows and the way that the reader really sees her heart, we see the real her, was just so beautiful. And though I did not necessarily like how things unfolded with a certain part of her arc in the end, not the very end, but near the end, I think it was handled so well. And I'm just so proud of her and how far she has come. And I almost said a spoiler, so we're going to stop there with her. But that was man, guys, like, I think all of the characters had this really incredible arc and just this growth, and one who probably surprised me the most was Kurumi. I did not like this girl. I did not like her from the get-go. There are numerous reasons why I did not like her. Anytime she came up on page, I actually would knock sometimes a star off for enjoyment purposes because I really just didn't like her, guys. I didn't want her in Sawako's life. I did not want her interfering. And you know what? I feel bad because it brings out, I feel like, almost the meanness in me at the beginning, because I'm just like, girl, I have no sympathy for you. Just get out the way, let my ship sail, and we're all okay. Sorry, I feel bad, like I said, for saying that. And I guess because I really, really didn't like her character at all, period, I was shocked by the end that I did like her character. I think Sawako really does help the reader to see a different side of Kurumi. Definitely not the best sides of her whatsoever, but you do see, as the manga progresses, you do see a new side of her. And I was not upset that this was the volume that I ended up owning and she's on it. This was a really, really good volume, especially with her, and I feel like it was very healing, and it's even more sort of like the tipping edge of what ultimately changed my mind about her and what I thought about her, and that I wanted her to do well in the end as well. So that I give a huge props to the mangaka for that, because I did not expect coming into this series that I would like her at all, especially how cold and upset and like much you just didn't like her in the beginning. I almost forgot to mention Pin. Pin is a really interesting character because even though he was not my favorite either, I was not super fond of him in the beginning. I don't know, there wasn't anything necessarily bad about him. I just was like, he's just sort of whatever. But I really love how just supportive he is of his students, and he has a really good arc too. I liked how he handled a certain situation with his student. That was very well done, and I'm really proud of him. He is just really encouraging. He says some interesting things that sometimes I feel like are contradictory, but they're also really good, and I can see why Sawako tells him that she admires him. Like, I get that and I see it, and I'm just so thankful that he helped her and that he helped all of these students in some way, in some fashion. I think the festivals and the Valentine's Day arcs and the, Christmas, I think all of them, most of them, I should say, were a lot of fun. Some of my favorite parts of this story is, yes, the romance, because it is a romance manga, but is seeing the friendship between these ladies, between Sawako and Shizu and Yano. I really love seeing their friendship deepen and it strengthen. It is hard to believe that I finished reading this manga. I just feel like I'm not ready for it to be done. I do sometimes felt like it was a little bit long, but the art was completely stunning and gorgeous, and especially those last 2 volumes. Like, even the mangaka mentions that she really tried to do her best, and she did. She really did. And speaking of the mangaka, she is really funny. Like, I loved reading her sidebars. She is an interesting person, and it was just funny to see how forgetful she mentions that she is and some of the stories that she shares. And with that, it was really cool. I don't remember what volume it was. I was so upset about the ending. I actually didn't read it at the time, but there were like 17 mangakas that came together and did like a tribute of sorts to Kimi Todoke. And that was really, really cool. I absolutely loved how Sawako and Kazehaya were just drawn, and it was in these different styles. So that was really interesting. And some of them come with like a little bit of a story that's not relevant to the actual manga, but is, if that makes sense. I don't know. But it was a really cool thing, and I've never seen that in a manga before. So that was really, really exciting. As a whole, guys, I am just blown away by this manga. I feel like whatever age a reader may be, whether they're a young person who's just starting out and is the same age as Sawako, or if they're older than them, that they've already graduated, or they're in college, I think whatever age they may be, I feel that this manga is going to cause a lot of reflection in the reader. I know it has for me. It's made me think back to when I met my husband, who is sort of like my high school sweetheart kind of thing, and our memories that we made together and where we are now. And it's made me think of even questions of like, am I happy where I am in my life? Especially looking back to who I was in high school and how I've changed since then. Just such good reflection, and it just makes me so happy to have read this manga. I was so deeply blessed by the story, and I'm sad that I can't keep reading because there's no more story. I mean, I could definitely reread it. But it's a journey, a story, adventure that I want to come back to. I had fun reading different things during the festivals and the holidays. I had fun seeing, even if there was so much angst, and like I actually had to put down because I was so anxious about this angst and embarrassment and will they ever get together? Like I felt like I was in that limbo dilemma for like 3 volumes before we finally get to where they finally to start dating, and I was so relieved because like I just needed them to hurry up and date. And I'm just going to be watching the anime with my best friend. I'm hoping I can make it, because I will definitely say I loved the later volumes compared to the earlier volumes. I love the depth and the maturity that the characters start showing and I was about to say start being, but just that they start showing in their actions and in their choices and in their words. I really, really, really enjoyed that. Plus, we're sort of over the drama and the hardcore angst. I mean, we definitely still have some angst because there's milestones that they sort of make in their relationship and such, but it's not as intense as it was during those first 10 volumes. For sure. Very for sure. I had planned to like wrap up the video, and then I just had to share that. But I definitely recommend this manga to those who are looking for a slice of life, coming of age, a clean like romance. Yes, there are sometimes some innuendos that are thrown in there. I think it does reflect the accurate high school setting, because some of those things I remember were said too when I was in high school. But overall, I'm gonna say 5 out of 5 stars. This is a must-read manga, I think, for shoujo fans, for like I said, those who like angst and they like romance and they like that extra drama and they love friendship and healing and new beginnings. Let me know in the comments, have you read Kimi ni Todoke? I would love to know who your favorite characters are. Come gush with me, come gush with me. I need to just sort of revel in these feelings. I'm definitely not ready to start a new manga anytime soon right now. If you haven't read this manga, are you interested in checking it out? Let me know too. I would love to hear from you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend. Bye!